So let's dive right into it. Today we're exploring the fascinating world of album cover design at Blue Note Records, which I think has really set some benchmarks for visual identity in music, especially in jazz. What makes these covers so distinctive?
It's really about a combination of bold colors, experimental typography, and candid photos of musicians. These elements together create a visual language that almost mirrors the improvisational and raw nature of jazz itself. The style of these covers often aligns with the Bauhaus and Swiss Style movements, which is fascinating when you think about how these visual concepts harmonize with the music.
It's interesting because in the early 50s, the LP format started booming, and with that came the need for catchy album covers. How did Blue Note adapt to that trend?
They were quite revolutionary. Designers like Gil Mellé, Paul Bacon, and John Hermansader made early strides in cover designs, often using photos by Francis Wolff. What's amazing is how these covers managed to incorporate typography and photography in such a way that elevated the visual representation of the music.
And then Reid Miles enters the scene in 1956, right? His influence seemed to redefine the look entirely.
Absolutely. Miles was hired by Blue Note as an art director, and he wasn't even a jazz fan, ironically. But those covers he created, 400 to 500 of them, are legendary. He used all sorts of experimental techniques like asymmetry, different typefaces, sometimes omitting photos altogether to emphasize the text. His work truly helped solidify jazz's visual identity.
It's wild to think how such a nonchalant approach could have such a lasting legacy. He also worked with Andy Warhol on some covers, didn't he?
Yes, indeed. In the late 1950s, Miles collaborated with Andy Warhol on a few cover illustrations, which really speaks to the dynamic and progressive spirit of Blue Note at the time. His ability to bring in different styles and artists really helped keep things fresh.
Post-Miles, the label didn't lose steam in terms of creativity. Can you talk about how the album art evolved through the years?
Sure. After Miles, artists like Forlenza Venosa Associates, Matti Klarwein, and others took over. Each brought their own innovative flair. By the 70s, even Japanese artists were reimagining the covers for reissued albums in Japan, which was quite unique and added a global dimension to Blue Note's imagery.
It seems like Blue Note's covers not only captured the music, but also the cultural zeitgeist. How has the reception and impact of these covers been over the years?
They've been immensely influential. The covers are considered iconic and have inspired both graphic designers and musicians alike. They set a standard for visual expression in music. Even in recent times, we see homages to those styles in album covers and other media, highlighting their enduring legacy.
And how about their influence on other artists or cultural outputs?
Well, tons. From the album art of musicians like Elvis Costello to more modern tributes, it's clear Blue Note's visual style has permeated various artistic fields. Even Obama's campaign art was noted to have shades of Blue Note's aesthetic.
It's just amazing how one record label could influence so many facets of culture. Do you think Blue Note's covers continue to resonate with new generations?
Without a doubt, they continue to embody the core essence of jazz: bold, boundary-pushing, and deeply artistic. The visual legacy isn't just about nostalgia, it's about a living, evolving dialogue in music and art.
Thanks for such an enlightening dive into this subject. It's clear that Blue Note wasn't just about the music, but created an enduring visual language that still speaks to us today. Let's hope it continues to inspire and challenge artists across the world.